first year was brutal.
So then what were your first impressions walking into this, carnival, this circus of a world? You have, Demolition and you got Hogan and Warrior and Savage, all these over the top characters, and you're coming in there hoping to do just, I want to do my job well. You're
Yeah.
studying, you're clearly a man who studies what he's doing, but yet here you are walking into this world and there's hazing, there's rituals of let's see if this guy's worth it. Let's see if this
Yeah.
guy can handle it. So your first impression, say like your first week, like what is going on?
Yeah. Well, I remember a couple of things that really stand out to me to this day. I remember, if people are familiar with the television facility in Stanford, it still exists. They haven't moved to the big giant building yet,
Yeah.
but it certainly has changed. But we had basically one edit bay. It was called Edit One, and it was connected to the giant studio we had, and we did everything. That's where the event center. That's what they did prime time, and we did everything in that one studio. And I remember that's where they had the bank of video screens that they shot on a loop and then put on green screen behind me for the event center.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's not a secret reveal. That's been many people
No, of
have known
course, but
that
it's
for
like
years.
any TV station though. You
Yeah,
go into like an MOC, which is a
you're right.
bunch of monitors showing you live footage from everywhere.
That was the idea.
You think
Yeah,
it's a control room. You think you're in a control room, but obviously you're not.
yeah. So I had been working and went into the Edit One, and there was kind of an area off to the side where had like a little couch where and Hulk was in there. Terry was in there, and I remember walking in there, and he kind of looks at me like, well, who are you? And I said, well, Sean Mooney, I'm one of the new announcers. And he said, oh yeah. He said, don't unpack. But it was, to basically tell me, you're not going to last.
Oh.
It was, they were constantly testing to see your mettle, like how
Hmm.
you took things. And I think I said something like, well, I've been living out of a suitcase for a month, so it'll be easy or something like that. And he kind of looked at me like, oh, brother, and then it just kind of realized that I wasn't gonna be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the other one was like one of the first times I went to a live event. uh they drove me up to New Haven, and I wasn't working. It was just kind of see how everything went down. And I remember walking into the back of the arena, and everybody's they're in costume and walking around, and I just looking at there was a table, and there's Mr. Fuji, there's Axe and Smash, and I maybe Andre, and they're like playing cribbage
Oh yeah.
in full, the spikes and
Yeah.
whatever like that. And I'm just looking and I'm going, I have joined the circus. This is it. I did. And but what a great time. It was one of the best times of my life. And it's helped me in every aspect of my career. I'm forever grateful to Vince McMahon for taking that opportunity with me and just letting me have it.
What was your relationship like with Vince McMahon? Because in the world of professional wrestling, he's a busy man, but at the
Yeah.
time, he's probably trying to build an empire and needs everyone on the same page. So, what was your daily relationship like with him?
Well, it was pretty awesome back then because the company was very small at the time, and we're
Mm.
talking 1988 when I first went there, and everything was based in Stanford. They hadn't built the tower. The tower wasn't done, and so they still had offices downtown, and then we had the TV facility. And everybody was, I always refer to it as like Camelot, because basically the McMahons owned Stanford. There wasn't really anything that big there. So and Vince drove that big Clenay, those this big giant car with the convertible. And of course, at the time, he was wearing the three-piece suits of every color
Wow.
there you could
Not
imagine.
not
Yeah,
his
and
Zumba, not his Zumba pants I already
yeah,
see
no,
pictures of.
that was another phase.
Oh, okay.
But he would wear the three-piece suits with it would be bright yellow or orange or purple or whatever. And he'd drive through Stanford, coming up from through town. Everybody saw him, and the staff wasn't that big. I knew everybody. I knew people that were with the sales team. They were around all the time. I mean, that's how close knit it was.
Hmm.
And everybody at the facility hung out. Lord Alfred Hayes was my best friend. I mean, his lordship and I would go down to Sono, South Norwalk, and hang out, and that was kind of the place to be. But it was a small family. And Pat Patterson would have parties, and everybody would go, and Vince would have a party, and everything was just blowing out. They had live bands, and it was the good and the bad with that, because you had to go. It was that small of a thing,
Yeah.
and so you pretty much, when they had a gathering, you had to be there. But at the same time, it was awesome, because it was a small, really, group of people. Kevin Dunn was pretty much a producer, executive producer at the time. He hadn't really moved up to where, of course, he ended up. Bruce was running the studio, but it was a really small unit. And we all lived there, and we'd travel, either every week or every other week or something like that. And then we'd be back that night. It was a pretty crazy time. And here I'm, 20 something years old,
Uh,
just going along.
I know. The envision in my brain, the vision I see is a wrestling party, but everyone, obviously they're probably not, but everyone in their gear, like, yeah, it's a great party here at Vince's house.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, we're going to the show tonight too. Cool. Hey, Warrior. Hey, like, I
yeah.
imagine it being a crazy scenario of, hey, I see these people all the time, but also going to be forced in a way. It's fun, but going to an office party, it's like a Christmas party at any organization you work at. You kind of have to go.